What's up, everybody? Justin with the RealAlaska Podcast. I'm here with my sidekick,
Billy.
And we are here with...
Noel Pearson.
And April Johnson.
And who are you guys with?
We are the owners of About Face Home Staging and Redesign.
Ooh, well, that's fun. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, are you guys excited or nervous, or both?
A little nervous.
Weirdly
but
nervous, and
yeah.
I love to talk, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, that's okay. We'll get you comfortable. Like I said, we're just pretty informal, so we just have a little bit of guideline to kind of keep us on task. Not for you, mainly for me. So Billy's like, that's fair. I kind of get down a rabbit trail sometimes, and I'm like, ooh, key strategies. That's where we should go next.
Yes.
I feel like that's part of what got us here is our love for rabbit holes.
Yeah, 100%. So, and you guys, well, once again, welcome to the show. We want to kind of just start off with who you are, born and raised in Alaska. Are you transplants, and then we'll go into like how you got into staging.
I'll start. I'll start because it's kind of easier to understand on my side. My husband arrived here. We arrived here in 2009, and I think April did as well.
2008.
2008,
Oh,
2009.
wow, okay.
Somewhere after having my kids, I was looking for a way to get back into the workforce. I was in the Air Force prior. But I really enjoyed real estate just from the outside. So I was like, oh, I'd like to do some real estate. And I was a realtor for a while. I was doing that for about 4 years, and I realized, oh, there's an actual need for staging here. And I knew April. Our husbands worked together, and I saw her having an artistic side that I needed some help with. And I saw her, and I was like, I want her to work with me on this.
Yeah.
And so one fateful day, I think it was February 2017, we went for coffee, and I said, hey, April, I've got this great idea to start a staging company. I've been working in real estate for a while. I think it's needed. I think we can maybe do 2 stages a month.
She did. 2 a month.
Like, I think we can make a go of it. What do you think? And I'll never forget. We met a second time, maybe a week later, and she comes in. She was like, I'm all in. Let's do this.
That's fun.
And then
There we go. That's the energy I'm talking about.
fast forward, now we're in our 7th year, and it's not uncommon. Sometimes we'll do 2 stages in a day.
In a day.
Whoa.
Yeah, those will have to be smaller ones,
Right.
but our larger ones, they're taking a full day now. And in the summer though, we're clicking. We could do 3-4 stages a week.
Easily.
Yeah, and leaving another day to go see homes, go visit and do occupy consults. So we offer a variety of options, but that's how it started. And I never thought it could get to this point. And the best part about it is having this gal, April Johnson, the best person to work with. And so I'll just give her the biggest
You guys
shout
have a
out.
business baby, and it's growing up.
Wait, our business baby is all grown up.
Okay, April, how about you?
I've been here since 2008. I came with my husband. He was in the Air Force.
Okay.
Before I was a home stager, I was a registered dietitian for 20 years.
Whoa, okay.
And I retired from that. And we've been doing the staging gig for the last 6 years or so in town. It's been great. My kids are gone, so my husband and I are empty nest.
Okay.
And so it's been fun to have this to do.
Right.
Because I'm not driving to sports practices and to school drop off and pick up. Noel still is, but it works great. It's been a real adventure in Anchorage.
Well, that's awesome. You guys have went from like this little conceptual idea into now what seems to be like a pretty bustling staging business.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I guess, so for people who aren't really aware of staging design, like what exactly do you do? Like, let's say I'm a homeowner or an agent, like what's the process?
Well,
Go ahead.
I think you're a realtor. So you know that when we moved here in 2008, my husband and I came, we had one weekend to find a house. We looked at houses for 2 days. Our realtor said, you've seen everything in your price range. You need to narrow it down because we had a stack of papers, right? From the houses, from the
Right.
boxes. So we went through and took out the ones that had already pended
Yeah.
Since we saw them the first time, we were left with about 6. We decided to land in Eagle River. So that took out another 2, I think. And so we basically had 3 homes to choose from. There was fish on the counter. There were dirty clothes in the houses, and it didn't matter. The houses were still selling like hotcakes in 2008.
Man.
We are sort of still in a
Yeah.
hot market, but it has become more popular thanks to HGTV.
Right.
That it matters what your house looks like when you're trying to sell it. And I think people watched shows on TV about staging your homes, and they realize, oh, a pretty home is going to get me more money.
Yep.
And so we are the pretty home makers. I think, who called us that? Our house fairy?
Oh,
Yeah, one of the
fancy
realtors,
fairies.
the fancy fairies. She calls it the fancy fairy. So we just try to help realtors and homeowners get
Right.
a better product to the market, because a pretty home tends to sell faster for more money.
It's actually impressive how, you'll have the client to really like go all out, get everything clean. It always, they're like, oh my God, no, there's like this one thing on the counter. Like, no, it's like you still live there. People do expect that, it's not like walking into a hotel room, right?
People are pretty reasonable, I think, for the most part, as long as things are very clean.
Then you got the opposite.
You got the opposite.
What is going on here?
I had one like that, and it sat for a long time.
Yeah.
And it shows, like, you see the data, and you can make the correlate. It makes
Well,
a big difference.
I always, when I was working, as a realtor, I was always thinking that you need to put, as a homeowner, you need to put your best foot forward. And when you don't, it's like, do you care what you're trying to sell? Do you care about that? Have you
Right.
cared about it in the past? If you don't care, maybe we don't want to work with this homeowner. I've always thought that if you're not trying to put your best foot forward. And
I always kind of like relate staging and getting your home ready as like, because it will sell for more and sell faster, if not multiple offer, especially in hot markets, right? I'm like, if you put 8 or 10 hours into getting your home ready, that's worth quite a bit of money. Like you could, and then that's your time's at that point almost $1,000 an hour.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, does your work pay you $1,000 an hour? Because I'm like, if you find that job, let me know.
Share that information.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, some of them the light bulb goes off. They're like, oh, okay. Like there is a complete value proposition to getting my home ready and nice looking and HDTV worthy, right?
Yeah, like if you had 3 weeks, spend 2 weeks preparing for a market, and then make it a show, and then get people out, take a look at it, have people fall in love with it in the first couple of days, and get it done. Right, that's what we're trying to do. Right, like if we're putting stuff on the market, we want to sell it.
That's what we say. It's home staging is very emotional. We're trying to elicit in the buyer an emotional response to create a little bit of urgency on their part. Like, I love this house. I love the way it looks. I can see myself living here. I'm going to make my best offer first. That's the idea.
It's all vibe though. When you walk into something that's really well staged, you're like, okay, this is nice. I can live here, right? Like.
you might sit down at the dinner table. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe you'll write the offer.
To write the offer. That's what we say about our dining rooms. Let's make this a nice place to sit down and write an offer.
That's smart, yeah.
And then if there's a dining table, I tend to sit there at the end and talk about everything. But that's totally a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So an agent or a homeowner contacts you,
Yes.
and then what?
We will go out to see the home.
Okay.
We have to put eyes on it to give a bid, and so we'll take a look. We'll give a bid. We'll give a bid to the homeowner or the realtor, and if sometimes we'll have some options for them how much they want to have staged in the home, because we don't stage everything. We don't give a set price. We go in. We give some options. So they'll look at that and say, okay, this is maybe the price that we'd like to put down for staging. I would like this package, maybe the main living areas and the master bedroom. And so we come back and we'll get on the schedule. We can usually get it done in one day. We have a team. We get in, we get out, more time for you to get it on the market. Time is money, so we want you to have the most time. So we'll get in, and we during our first look at it, we'll take a lot of photos, kind of pick the look of the place. We try to stage to the home, not necessarily to the homeowner.
Right.
They may be looking at leaving the home. They're empty nesters now, but
Right.
the people that might be moving in, it could be a family or it could be two young professionals. We try to stage to the home and to the buyer, and we also try to cast a wide net and make it appealing to most people. So that's what else, April? What else?
That we will walk around the house and we will say, who's going to buy this house? And sometimes we know because we will say, well, we're the demographic for this house.
Right.
So that's very easy to stage for ourselves. But if it's a little tiny condo or it's a 4-story home down on Westchester Lagoon, we try to imagine who is the buyer and what do they want to see. Oftentimes we just staged or sold, emptied it out. We didn't sell it. The staging did get it sold.
Right.
But there was a house out kind of hillsidey.
Yeah.
And it was a dude's dream. A massive, amazing, incredible shop, an outbuilding, fenced 3 acres.
Oh, that sounds nice.
But the price tag was high. It was
Right.
around 1. And we said the problem is the woman. So we need to stage the house for her.
Right.
Because all dudes are in.
Yeah.
And my husband helped us empty that house out, and he walked in, and it was 100% true. He's like, I don't even need to see the house. I would take this place for the shop. So we try to imagine who the buyer is, and then what is the problem? What's
Right.
going to be the holdup on this property? And then I would say, generally, if you're going to list a house at $500,000, we're going to try to make it feel like a $700,000 house when you step in the door. And I think if we're doing an occupied consult as well as preparing for a vacant stage, we stand in the doorway for a good 15 or 20 seconds, because I think that's the last stat that we saw is that a homeowner or a buyer is making a decision, an unconscious decision about the house in the first 15, 20 seconds they're in the door. So Noel and I will stand in the door, and what do we see?
Right.
What do we see that's offensive? What do we see that's amazing?
Yep.
And how do we either get in the way of the offensive or get out of the way of the amazing? So there is actually a lot of strategy to home staging, at least for us, because we like what we do and we want you guys to
Right.
keep calling.
Yeah. And some people's stuff is very eccentric. So,
We like to say we can work with anything. Nobody's really challenged it too much.
Well, some people are like utilitarian, right? And so it's just like it's
or
it's
blank
nice.
walls, etc.
Yeah, you know, they might have blank walls or whatever, right, in like a transitionary period, and so it makes sense to kind of have an option for them to be able to sell it as a home rather than like it's just an empty space.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say, for the most part, women will buy into staging, and most of our resistance comes from men.
Is it generally like a cost prohibitive thing that you're seeing?
Nobody likes the cost of staging here, but at the end of the day, when you take into account what it costs somebody in Anchorage to have interior painting done, or replace carpet, or update their kitchen, staging is pennies.
Well, to be fair, you know, think about what is 15 days time on market cost.
That's what does a $25,000 price drop cost a realtor on commission?
Very valid points.
I'm just suggesting maybe more realtor should pay for staging. I don't know. But I think it's something to think about, especially the $1 million homes that are doing $100,000 price drops. You're getting very close to entry-level staging costs
Right.
at that point.
Okay, so when I guess the broad scope of staging. So how little will you do, and then how much will you do?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
We do an occupied consult. And when Noel proposed this business to me, we thought that would be the most business that we would do, is that we would market ourselves to realtors and say, this is a service you can provide for under $200. We'll go in and give them the checklist.
Sure.
Right? So in an occupied consult, we start at the front door and we walk through the house like a buyer will. And sometimes we take notes, but most often the homeowner or the realtor will take notes if they're on site as well. things to do to prepare for photos. And that's what we try to tell people. How are you looking at new houses?
Right.
I'm looking online.
Digital marketing.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I said, you are remembering homes that you've looked at in person because of the photos you saw. So our first goal is to make your house really beautiful for photos. If you can keep your house very close to looking like the photos for showings, you're winning.
Yeah.
So an occupied consult, we go in and we don't provide anything except for advice. Move this, take this out, let's try this here, that kind of thing. That's the very least amount of staging we do. The most we would do is, well, it's like a house we have staged right now. We actually staged every single bedroom, 5 bedrooms in this house.
That's a lot of moving.
Yeah. How long
It is.
was that? 2 in one day for that one?
No, it's 1 day. It was a 1-day job. We don't generally stage every room in a house. We try to stage what you see from the front door.
Right.
And beyond that, then are there any problematic areas? You know, Anchorage has some weird houses.
Yep.
And the master suite sometimes doesn't feel very sweetie.
Right.
And so sometimes it's important to get in there and show a bed in the master bedroom. But generally, vacant staging can be the main living areas and any problem areas. So if we're doing a vacant stage, we bring everything.
Yep.
Everything. Entry mats, mirrors, art, fake plants for the coffee tables in the bathrooms.
Right.
So we provide, we like to say, a complete range of staging options with About Face Home Staging and Redesign.
And plug. And I kind of casually browsed your guys' website, and it sounds like you guys do short-term rental stuff as well.
We do.
So
Yes.
That's a cool option.
do you help the owner go out and buy all the stuff for it, or do you just go out and buy the stuff for them? I mean, I run a bunch of short-term rentals, so I'm like, I'm used to doing all that stuff myself and having to go to Burlington and all these places and go pick out all the stuff, right? But I'm just curious, what you guys provide, because I mean that might be an option for me.
Yes, very much like staging. We provide we're anything on that continuum. So we have done an occupied consult for people that are doing a short-term rental. But recently, last summer, did we do 3? 2? 3?
2.
2 from empty house to photos for the Airbnb listing.
Okay.
So we put everything in: beds, towels, sheets, mattress protectors,
Right.
wine openers,
Yeah.
the whole deal. So we
Yep.
are able to do any amount of that work for a short-term rental.
Well, you figure the short-term rentals, a lot of it is experience-based, right, as a differentiator. And so that staging is pretty critical.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something you were talking about recently, how like the quality of things
Yeah.
varies.
Well, because you see all the listings, and I've been in quite a few Airbnbs, and you have the people who just don't probably have the budget to put in the proper stuff, right?
Yes.
And it's very cheap, like Walmart furniture. It feels cheap. There's a lot of blank walls.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel homey at all. Like you're like walking into a hospital. That like a really cheap one that you really don't want to go to.
Right.
So
Right.
It's just not a good look for the market,
I mean, and the guess is, especially in the summertime, I'm paying a premium, right?
Yes.
And they're
A
like
premium.
$300-400 a night, and they walk in, there's like a, $200 couch sitting in the living room that's got stains, and they bought off of Facebook Marketplace. And,
Totally.
like not exactly the best experience, right? And
it's just not the impression I would want to leave with a visitor to our city.
We, Noel and I, together with our families and sometimes just with girlfriends, we've stayed in Airbnbs all over the world. That's pretty dramatic, just Europe and here.
That's all over the
Oh
world.
no,
That
and French Polynesia, all over the world. I'm going to backtrack.
counts. Not done yet.
But we have an exceptionally critical eye. We know how real estate photography works, so we can look at listings and go, I know this is not what that looks like, or that's an IKEA couch. I'm not paying $700 a night
right,
to have a bad back on the cardboard bed. So, the price, furnishing an Airbnb or a short-term rental it's expensive.
it's not cheap.
It's expensive, but I agree with you. We need to do better in Anchorage. We got to get people to come to the state, to stay here and make a life, and to keep coming back and visiting if they're not going to live here.
Right. Okay, so as stagers, when you walk in and you see a place, what are some of the biggest challenges you guys see when it comes to staging, or trying to have that conversation with the homeowner?
Well, since it did snow today, that's always a factor.
Yeah.
We always we're paying attention to the weather, and I noticed that because, that's just one of my things. I have to think about the truck getting in, us getting to the door with all of the furniture. That's something I'm always thinking about, access to the home. But other challenges.
Well, I think convincing people to pay for it is hard. That's a physical barrier. Noel's is like we contend with the weather here 6 months out of the year.
Right.
But yeah, when we were first starting out, staging wasn't done too much here. And I think there were a couple of hobby stagers. They thought that, we put a pillow in the corner and that's staging. No. We have a different product than that. And, so showing people, trying to tell people this is what staging is.
Right.
And this is the product we put in a full room. We don't do partial. Just trying to overcome that, that new idea. This is staging. It's done here now. Oh, okay. And just trying to show the value.
We were surprised when the market was so crazy a year ago, 2 years ago, even after COVID, when it was just nuts.
Yeah.
We thought, oh man, this is going to do us in. People, they're not going to see the need to stage, but we stayed pretty busy.
It's interesting. Yep. The markets were so good then, people didn't need agents to sell their house.
That's exactly right.
Right? But that's not the case necessarily now so much.
No.
No. And as we get more inventory, I think you'll see the emergence of things like that, right? And they'll start to become more common again.
Historically, stagers in the United States, when housing prices are falling, they get busier.
Right.
Because people are like, I'm going to dig out that extra little bit of cash.
Yeah.
To try to give a better product to make it stand out against the other 8 houses on my street that are for sale.
And these are some of the skills that were lost over the last, 3 or 4 years,
yes.
I think, in a really good market. So.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But it's good to see an emergence of a really high quality product and that you guys have an eye for detail.
Thank you.
Because it's something that I value a lot and then Justin does as well.
Yeah.
So it's good to see people doing solid work.
You see the hobby stage stuff. Doesn't look very good.
I can tell.
Like the one chair, like a single dining room chair in the living room. I'm like,
Hey, something's better than nothing. You got to work with what you got,
We try not to do staging like that. A little bit ago, we were talking about kind of the continuum of staging. We will actually work with people who live in the home.
Yeah.
So we will add our belongings, sometimes very reluctantly, on top of homeowners. And so we pride ourselves on offering staging services across that continuum.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it work.
Do you guys work with a lot of new construction builders then?
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Oh,
Sure.
Of course. And we have worked. We've done, what's the parade of homes. We have done that for a few builders and
There's some new construction in Eagle River in the Valley that we've been in more than any other new construction. Now it's very common for us to be in with flippers.
Oh,
Right.
That makes sense.
But the new construction, I think by the time they get to the point where they need to stage, the cash tree has dried up.
Right. It's getting towards the end.
Yeah.
There's been a few builders who've kind of put a few things in, but for the most part, most of them stay pretty empty. But
Pretty
I mean,
empty.
it's new construction is always, that price per square foot is always substantially more than
Yes.
existing, right? And so people get it because it's a new construction, but at the same time, it's such a big jump in Anchorage, right?
Such
that they
a
could
big
probably benefit from painting that picture,
Just carrying that the luxury attitude all the way through to the listing, I think does help.
Yeah. And I've noticed that with clients too, of when something's staged versus not staged, or something looks cute, right? A lot of people just don't have the imagination to see or conceptualize what a place is going to look like with furniture or artwork on the walls. Right. So they come in and they're almost overwhelmed with a blank canvas, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people just lack that artistic ability to just imagine things there. And so this is where obviously staging comes in.
Especially in some of those rooms that are tricky.
Yeah.
You know, the split levels that were built here in the
good old 70s and 80s.
Yeah. and sometimes it's hard to pinpoint a focal point.
Yeah.
And you look at the room and you think, this is the dining room and the living room? Mm-hmm. Never. And it's $565,000.
Yeah.
And so I think we have gotten very good at being able to show how livable some of these places can be. And empty, they're tricky. Sometimes we stage a house and we'll say, this house, I'm going to feel bad when we take all the furniture out and they see the rooms without it.
What's funny, because a lot of times when I'm walking with buyers, we're having those conversations, or they're having those conversations with their significant others. They're like, well, where do we put our couch? You know, like, where would we put our TV?
Mm-hmm. Always the TV.
Yeah, the TV.
Yeah.
We always ask that.
I see some interesting ones too. Like, I walk into some occupied ones. I'm like, I wouldn't have thought to put my TV there, but oddly it works. Based on like, you come up, it's like on the top of the whatever in the the entryway.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is that?
We've seen things like that.
Oh yeah, it happens. Yeah, and especially with those kind of mixed spaces with the smaller homes, right, from the 70s and 80s with the split levels, because there was a lot of like shared. There wasn't like a formal dining, right? That split up. There was like living room and dining kind of blended together. Usually the dining space is smaller, so they're like, man, how am I going to fit a couch and something else in here? Especially if it's empty. You can't
because
conceptualize
it looks so small, especially if it has dark paint.
Right, it just feels a little crowded.
It just makes it feel even more.
Right. And so that's what we've encountered probably quite a bit, is just, oh my God, where's a tape measure? Like, can we measure this out? Like, what's going to fit here?
Yes.
Or how big's this space going to be?
Or someone was looking for with enough wall space they could fit a fish. They had like a marlin, and so every house we looked at, they with their tape measure.
Right.
Oh my word. Yeah.
So I think it's good, obviously, to conceptualize that, to give people an idea, because most of them just don't have an idea,
And it's interesting because some people will say, and they're usually the ones that need to see a place staged, I don't need to be told where to put my furniture.
Yes, you do.
Exactly. If you say that, you probably need some help.
100%. Yeah. It's just, especially the Airbnb world, because we manage for quite a few people, and their idea of what looks good, right, and what guests actually like and what actually looks good is two very different worlds.
Which is why you hire a professional, right?
No, we're not doing that. What do you mean? I'm like, that's just not going to work,
We always have to tell people too, when we're coming in their house and we're talking about, well, what are you going to put here? What are you going to put here? We just say, listen, staging is not about practical living.
Right.
Staging is about creating some emotion for the people that are going to buy your house, so that they are motivated to dump their pockets out on your table. Take all my money. I love this house. It's not practical living. It's emotional living.
And like quality art, not as artwork, but well-placed furniture, artwork, etc., really sells it online. Like, the pictures turn out really great.
Yep.
Right.
The photographer comes in and is like, oh, thank God. It just photographs well. They're able to capture different angles and different, heights, and capture like the concept of the room. And so it does make a huge difference, just minor tweaks,
It does.
Yep. It guarantees that it will be on their list. This listing we are going to see.
Yeah.
When other ones, okay, maybe if we have time, but this one we will see.
Okay. Hot topic item.
Oh,
We're ready.
Virtual staging.
ooh.
Is that a naughty word in your world?
Yes.
We did not.
Yes, it is. Please take that word out of your mouth.
Yeah. Delete this conversation. Yeah. I find it very distracting because I can tell when recently I've seen a piece of artwork that they blew up so large that they were trying to use it as a side table. I don't know how that.
Really?
I don't know how that happened with
Interesting.
the virtual
Clever.
staging.
It's an interesting
It's
solution.
distracting. I think it's when you're putting a couch somewhere that really cannot fit a couch. I think that's a little bit of a false. I don't know, a false statement about your home.
Yeah.
But it is being done.
To varying degrees in town.
I can see why people want to do it. I think it's a cautionary situation, especially when people walk in the home and they thought it was staged and going to look a certain way. That immediate disappointment of your buyer. Ouch. Why would you want anyone to walk in and be like, oh, this isn't what I thought?
Yeah.
It's not the momentum you want.
No.
Well, and we've seen homes staged virtually that we've staged live in another lifetime. And we can look at it and say, it'll have like a nice big white couch and 2 nice big white chairs. And Noel and I will say, mercy, that's going to be disappointing when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
Because you'll know there's no way that amount of furniture is going to fit into that room. It's interesting. We're in some groups with stagers in other parts of the country, and there are markets that you can use virtual staging, but you also have to put a picture of the room as it appears when you go to look at it.
And a
Right.
disclaimer on the listing.
Yeah.
So.
You'll see that. Typically now with the listings, you'll see like the staged followed by the blank.
I'm seeing that
And
more here, yes.
I just don't like the look of it, and you see how it's going to look, and then you walk in and your client's expecting something nice and pretty, and you're like,
Whamp, whamp.
yeah, that's a total letdown,
Yeah.
man. I mean, even to me as an agent, I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, it looks so great online. You walk in, you're really underwhelmed.
I just saw an ad and I think it was on one of the home stager pages on Facebook because I'm old. And they said it was AI. I thought, now we're going to start calling it AI. But it was pretty hard to tell because the shadows, usually you can tell by the shadows that it's virtually staged, but the shadows were on point for how they had manipulated the lighting through the windows. And I felt a little bit of sinking in my stomach because I thought, it will get better. But you can't, if you're expecting to see that when you go in Alaska, especially, after it snowed a little bit, the floors are yucky because even though we're taking our shoes off in the entry, it's still gross. And sometimes there's dead flies. And so you're expecting to see one thing and you go in and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
For $1 million, I don't know.
It's a lot of our business is expectation management, right? And so then you kind of have a little steam, like, I really like this place. It's really cute online. And then you get there and you're like, meh. Right? That's the opposite direction we want to be moving that ball.
And I find that people are really tangible.
Yes.
Like, they want to touch things and feel things and sit on things.
They
and,
definitely want to sit on
know,
things.
It's like, it's pretty hard to do that virtually.
Right.
So,
Yes.
and so like we already talked about it. It's like, so they see it online. They want to go look, touch, feel, walk through all the prettiness, right? And they want to, I have clients comment this all the time, like, oh my God, I really wanted to love this in person.
Oh.
And then they're like, but I don't, right? And it's because the photos look so good online and they come in and they are just so underwhelmed. That's because either A, it's virtually staged, or photographers do such a great job. Some of them are really, really good,
Yes.
We have a really good one, yeah.
and then they come in and they're like, oh my God, like, man, this house sucks in person, And so now you're trying to be like, well, like it kind of fits what you want, like outside of some of the cosmetic stuff, right? But they're already disconnected.
And it was in that first under a
2
minute
minutes.
in the front door when they're just like, this isn't what I thought it was going to
The
be.
first couple things they see and smell.
Oh yeah, the smell. We should talk about smell.
Yes. That
That's
sounds, yes,
You
let's
have
talk
some
smell.
tips on this? Because this would probably be good. I should
Is it
probably
cu- is
Throw to Noelle.
is it
This is
cookies?
her big thing. Cookies would be an amazing thing to smell.
Sure. Yes, cookies. We are honest with the homeowner, and the realtors want us to be honest. So yes, we walk in, and if we smell something, we're in a state that loves dogs. So let's use that as an example, or cats.
Wet dog, cat smell. Oh, yeah.
and we're not rude about it. I have dogs. I know where my house
I have
smells.
cats.
She has cats. we walk in and we provide that honest feedback when it's needed. And sometimes it's the front rug that could do a bit of a changing, moving the kitty litter somewhere else. I don't have cats, so
where people put that anywhere.
Oh yes.
We bring it
Yes.
up, and I think everyone just needs to know that your house will most likely have a smell somewhere, and let's just get it out in the open. Let's not have it. Let's try to get rid of it.
But on the flip side, if we walk in a house and it's like Febreze plugins in every corner,
I'm immediately suspect.
it's
Yes.
almost worse for exactly that reason.
Headache.
You are hiding something.
Yeah.
What is it that you're hiding? Because if it's the SIGs, we can deal with that. If it's your old doggies, like the pee pads for me are so hard.
Yeah.
But you're hiding something. And even if people aren't doing that math consciously, an overwhelming, cloying, fake smell is almost more offensive than wet dog.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
it's
cigarettes.
Like the aisle at the grocery store, whatever. You're like, came in.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just a perfume or whatever we want to call that, artificial scent.
Or that store in the mall, you walk in
Yes,
and
I
it's
did-
just like
Oh yeah.
right in the face.
It was like Abercrombie and Fitch back in the day.
You remember? But they actually came out and squirted outside.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. That's how we know we're old.
I remember when that opened, so I'm the oldest.
Most stores had live models.
That was true.
We took
Yeah.
our kids to a mall in Colorado a few weeks ago. This has nothing to do with anything.
It's okay.
But remember,
We'll
you would
bring it
go in
back.
the mall and you would just immediately would you like to try this scent? Would you like to try this scent?
Mm-hmm.
And this mall in Colorado Springs, my son, for whatever reason, thought he needed cologne. So I was feeling so magnanimous.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get you some cologne.
Some free.
You're having such a hard time. I'll get you some cologne. So we go in, and now the perfume things don't even have the little
Right.
thingamajig on the top to spray it because they're stealing them. Of course they are.
Oh, no.
I know, it's terrible. What? So we had to ask to smell perfume, and I told my kids, 20 years ago you would never have to
Yeah.
ask because they just hit you
Yeah.
coming in the door. Anyway,
Jeez.
bunny trail.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
But
Times have changed.
smell does matter.
100%.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of times the carpet does have to come out, and we'll be like, I guess you have to take that money and get new carpet. And staging can't fix that problem.
Well, that's probably
It's
fair
bad.
advice in that case.
Yep. I've been into a few homes, and if I see a ton of different Febreze things or plugins or whatever else, I'm like, okay, like, hang on, like, let's go outside. So I unplug all of them, and then I open some windows. And I say,
Yes.
hey, let's go outside for a few minutes, give it some time to air out, because most likely there's some odor in here that the seller wants to cover up.
Yep.
Right? So, like, let's just figure it out now, see how bad it is, and then
Work from there.
And work from there. Sometimes it's not too terrible. Sometimes it's really bad. Like, immediately, as soon as you take those things off, open some windows, get some fresh air in, and put them, and come back, and you're like, oh, whoa.
I know what it was.
Yes. Yes. And because it's an obvious cover up, like, at least just be honest with me,
Yes. And
Like-
it's headache inducing.
It is.
So you don't want to be the house that gave people a migraine.
Some people are actually really, like, highly, like, not allergic, but just
Sensitive.
very sensitive to those fake perfumes and candles and whatever else. And it is like, we've had some spouses or clients who come into the house and they can't even be in the house. They're just like, I have to wait outside. I can't come through this,
And that's not going to be the buyer.
Nope. Immediately, just like walking into a home from virtually staged to not staged,
Yeah.
emotionally kind of turned off, right?
Yes.
And it's usually an emotional purchase.
Yeah, and the emotion also is happening in between the realtor and the homeowner, and there's a lot going on. And if we can do anything to help out with that and walk in and have a difficult conversation, that's why we're here.
We're very oftentimes the bad cops.
It's nice actually to be able to do that.
Yeah, like, here you go.
See, you have a price.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
going to call April and Noel to go and deliver this bad news.
Hey,
Okay, so you mentioned price. I'm clueless on what staging costs. I'll be fair. I haven't used you guys. So
I know maybe
That's
we should-
true,
we
you
should,
have
dive
not.
into that.
But like, what would you say like the average cost is for, like, if we wanted to do a living room and a master bedroom, like the two big? Is that what you would think? kind
No,
of
let's do
minimum?
a little bit differently. Let's
Sure.
do 2 living, 2 dining, master bedroom. So a good size home, and you're wanting $750,000 for this house, and you need the people have left, and you're looking at this price tag, and you're like, all right, this is a I could see this price tag, sure, but let's put our best foot forward in this market, or maybe at this price. So I think I would estimate for the staging and not a delivery fee, I would go from $2,200 to $3,200 for 2 living, 2 dining,
And a master.
A master, depending on how big it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Our contract is
start-
60 days.
Yep,
Okay.
60 days and a delivery fee. That changes a little bit according to where you are. If you're in Wasilla,
Yeah.
you'll have a bigger delivery fee. But you know,
Understandable.
If you could factor in for a big home like that on a hillside, maybe $450, $500 delivery fee.
That's not bad, especially with the value proposition of like being able to attract a much larger buyer pool.
How much would
You
it be
know.
to paint those rooms? Just out of curiosity,
More than that.
Probably more than that.
right?
Yeah.
Or just even swap the carpet. If the carpet isn't stinky, we can put a rug down
Right.
and really make the room feel very livable. And oftentimes we'll go into homes, especially some of the older homes in town where potentially the homeowners have died. And so now it's an estate sale, the home. They don't want to do anything. They just want to offload the house.
Right.
We try to make it look very livable. Like, what do we want this house to look like that it would be livable for us? You know, I think we try to be very fair. But even some of the worst homes that we've seen, they could be livable.
Everything's livable for a price.
Well, every hey,
Right.
I think every
True.
home is a dream for someone.
100%.
I think so. And
Yeah.
and we've put small homes together and just some really cool things, some beautiful accents, a huge cow rug with gold flakes, and we're like, April, we could live here. This is
Totally. Totally.
Maybe we always will walk in and be like, I think we can make this our world headquarters. Why not?
That's what we say. We usually say that about the homes with the pools inside.
I have a lot of fun doing
Yes.
shopping with my clients. I'm like, I could live here. This is cool. Let's go. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the fun part of what we do, right? It's good to
Yeah.
go look and be the dream maker, kind of.
Yeah. And then you're like, one day.
I'm gonna be I'm
Right.
gonna be the hardest client when I go to my next purchase, just because
Same. Same.
Judgy McJudderson over there.
They say
Same.
they say like doctors and nurses make the worst patients,
Patients.
and I would think realtors and lenders probably make the worst home buyers
that's
or
or sellers.
sellers.
Potentially
Yeah.
home stagers
Yeah.
as well.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as I guess your guys as you kind of come into winter, we're seeing a market slowdown. Are you guys seeing more requests for staging as we kind of like starting to see stuff last longer?
We are. When we first started staging, we were in smaller homes. I would say our bread and butter was it maybe around 400,000. Of course, in 2017, $400,000 got you a lot more than it
Right.
does today.
Yep.
Those were our bread and butter. As the market's gotten weirder, and in the winter for sure, we see bigger, more expensive homes.
Makes sense.
In the winter. People are wanting to get that home sold, and they're willing to put the money into staging up front.
And a couple of homes that maybe they didn't sell over
Yeah.
the summer, looking for a refresh. We get a lot of those in the fall.
Yeah.
So
I can
then
see
what they're
that.
looking at is refreshing the listing, right? So it's staging, potentially paint, and a price drop.
Gotcha.
And of course, if you had to relist this winter, you're really going to kick yourself that it didn't sell in the summer before the interest rates continued their upward trajectory.
I know 8% right now, starting to slow things down a little bit. So I think you guys are gonna be a little bit busier.
Yeah, we'll
So-
see. The winter's interesting for us. It's pretty quiet right now. Fall we've had the rush, right?
Right.
People want to get into a home before school starts. And then we'll see the Labor Day traffic where people are like, oh boy, we really got to get this sold.
Right.
And now it's weird. But I think we always see a little rush around the holidays of people trying to get their house on the market and potentially sold before January 1st. Almost always. And we always have a staged Christmas week. Always.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
Do you guys do like a Christmas tree and stuff?
Oh, I always want to, but we don't.
Are they like? I'm guessing they're probably scheduling for like right after the new year, and so they
that too.
want it.
That one that I did one year, pinned it on Christmas Eve.
Really?
Yeah. They wanted it on, and we did put a little tiny Christmas tree on the bookshelf.
That's nice. Yeah.
Just a little blue one, just in
Yeah.
the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That
just
agent,
to also,
that agent was working on Christmas Eve.
If I had
Oh,
told
man.
you
That's
who it
okay.
was, too, it would blow your mind. I could not believe that this realtor was working on Christmas Eve.
It probably made his Christmas, to be honest, or her, I guess, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey guys, just bang, boom, Christmas gifts.
I'd have
covered.
worked Christmas Eve.
And it was a mini bidding war, too, so awesome
Oh,
for the
wow.
sellers.
Yeah, they're like Merry Christmas.
Right?
To me,
Yeah.
That's a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay.
I was just gonna plug a couple
Yeah,
of the things that we
absolutely.
do since we're talking about winter and some of our months that were a little bit slower. We also do in-home consults for maybe some decor or a few minor interior design changes. We also have a lead stager now that works with us, and she can do interior design. But so we kind of do a little bit of that. And so I just wanted to plug that.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a good
Revenue
resource
streams.
for people that are looking to prepare Airbnbs for the next season, right? So
Or-
if they're doing flips and things like that,
Or just like you have a house and you're like not really sure what to do.
Yep.
right?
You
Maybe
know.
you just bought a house this summer, and now all this
Yeah.
hustle and bustle's over. You got some time to do your design.
that's what we do. We actually have gone back into homes that we staged
Yep.
to help people kind of place things in a room. And we're working with a gal now just to try to help her sort of fine tune her house so that it's the way that she likes it. It's very fun.
Yes. It's kind of fun going shopping,
Right.
picking stuff out,
Yeah.
Like,
I wish we had more options in Anchorage. That's
Okay, I see that being
been
an issue.
Yes.
actually.
an issue for
it-
sure.
It is an issue. It's a large issue. Do you guys order a lot of stuff or do you buy it locally or?
We try to keep our business local.
Yeah.
We do. We do. When Pier 1 closed, we felt like that was a nice medium sort of source. It looked nice. It was very current. It wasn't IKEA quality.
Yeah.
So now we're mainly buying from the bigger furniture stores in town. Shipping up here is
It's ridiculous.
very difficult. And you
Yeah.
would think that Noel and I would have an in. Both of our husbands work for cargo airlines.
Nope.
But no, we don't. And even some of the things that we've wanted to have shipped up, it's cost prohibitive. So people in the lower 48, they get their inventory from Wayfair
Yeah.
and other places like that. Well, if we ship Wayfair for couch up here that costs $300 and we pay $300 to ship it, we would rather just give $600, or no, it'll actually be more like $900 to one
Right.
of our local.
Right.
And staging furniture takes a beating, no
Yeah.
doubt.
I was wondering about that. Do you guys have like a warehouse or like a storage space, and you just kind of, because it's very logistics based what you're doing.
Very
I know you
logistics
mentioned
based.
weather earlier, so that's kind of where my head's at too. A lot of times with things.
Yes, the weather. Yeah, we have a storage facility that we use. A lot of couches, a lot of tables, a lot coming and going, and so just.
I
don't
think
know,
we have 13. We just got rid of 2 spaces.
Oh,
We have 13 storage rooms.
Yes.
Oh.
And actually, over the years, we've managed to keep them very close to each other, and every room has its own name and purpose. So it's pretty organized. But we checked into warehouse space when we got started, but compared to the lower 48, it is a fortune
It's not
up
cheap.
here.
Yeah.
And we were trying to establish staging, so we weren't able to go gangbusters, on pricing our services. But we've felt the pinch too in
yeah.
staging. We use U-Hauls because it didn't make sense to buy our own box truck. And U-Hauls raised their prices. Our storage facility raised their prices 40%.
Oh.
Significant, yeah.
That was January of this year? And so we've had to, like everybody else, we are looking at our processes and don't want to pass the price increase on, but we're also
yeah.
trying to run a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
we're right. And finding help too. We've had a hard time finding help. My kids are away, but I had a large pool of high schoolers to draw from for about 4 years, and that's gone the way of the dodo bird at my house.
Yeah, I don't think that's exclusive to you. I think that's a struggle that seems to be pretty consistent across the
board.
Yeah.
Across the board, employees and just finding
Can't stage
decent help.
working from home.
Yeah. No.
Well, some people do, but it's not good. We've already discussed we don't like that.
So did you guys, as far as like, so you guys have a team that helps move furniture. Are they like full time, or do you like just have?
We have one full-time lead stager, but our
Okay.
movers, no, they are not full-time.
Okay.
No.
You just have like a moving company that kind of. Is
We
on
are
call,
using
or-
a little bit of a moving company, especially in the fall and the winter.
Yeah.
In the summer, we have plenty of 18-year-old guys that are knocking on our door. They love working for us. It's
Right.
fun. The moving is lighter than a normal house move.
Right.
So if in April, I always say, April and I have lifted this couch and moved it. You can too.
Right.
You can do this. I give
Yeah.
them that plug. You can do it. I'm not going to make you move anything that I haven't moved.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of help and a lot of good energy from the kids in the summer. In the winter, moving companies, or a little bit of us too.
I make my husband come help when he's not on a trip.
And so
Teamwork.
yeah, but
Makes the dream work.
yeah,
That's right.
and but we have a team going in, so we can get a stage done pretty quickly, and
Okay. Well, I just thought of something because I get this a lot. Matter of fact, we've actually talked about this on our team. So when it comes to staging furniture, artwork, like trends are big,
Yes.
right? We have clients who have like 400 saved Pinterest photos.
Yes,
Right.
I do.
That's a good one.
So,
That's one.
or their Pinterest boards, right? We've talked about like, hey, if you want to know what your client wants, just have them show you their Pinterest board.
oh my gosh,
So how do you guys stay on top of trends?
oh
Well, Noel and I like to shop,
yeah, I like shop.
and we like Instagram. And so we follow a lot of the kind of trendy designers. So we always have our eye on the trends. And I like to say we were telling people that the gray, the tonal, the gray homes, that those were falling out of favor. And encouraging people to pick either something that was a mix of warm and cool, or to start leaning. It's okay to go back to the warmers, because
There's like color of the year was that great last year, and then this year it's like a different color.
depends who you're looking at. Sometimes the color of the year is wackadoo.
Right?
Yes.
Like the Pantone was interesting this year.
Yeah,
Plum.
plum.
You're like,
Right, I'll get you
I'm not putting that on my walls.
I'll get you a throw pillow in plum.
Some of that stuff doesn't age well, but some of the
Right.
things seem to be timeless, right? Like
Right, and then-
colors matter.
and some of the magazines, and they're trying to push the envelope, and they're showing just some crazy design. We're going for that. I said it earlier, wide net, maybe just like a beautiful hotel room that you've walked in. You're just like, wow, this is really nice. And most people walk in and say the same thing, this is beautiful. Just comfortable, nice looking, just a lovely living room that anyone can say, oh, this is really nice, and I can sit down here and enjoy my evening.
We try to buy pieces of furniture because we've already established that we're buying from regular furniture stores here, right? So it's costing us not $200.
Right.
We try to buy very neutral, classic pieces.
Right.
And
Smart,
then we
yeah.
bring the pizzazz with
Accents.
the accessories.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, a pillow. Everybody, when we first started, everybody wanted to pop a color.
Pop up.
What I'd like to see in this is a pop of color. And Noel and I were like, oh, I know.
And the accent wall.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. And nobody complains about, sometimes, not very often, about where's the color? I wanted color. But I think we try to stay on top of the trends as much as we can, while acknowledging that our inventory needs to have a longer shelf life
Right.
than other staging companies, let's say in Phoenix or Los Angeles or Seattle. But I think we're getting it done.
Yeah.
We change the art out. We have a lot of art. And we have a lot of pillows.
We have a lot of
A lot of throw pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. You might.
Just the amount of inventory you guys have has got to be
staggering.
Yes.
How many stages do you think you guys have going at any one given point?
Recently, we have had a lot of stages, around $1 million, that will suck up a lot of our inventory. And
We're
I know,
emptying a house yesterday and today that had 3 homes worth of inventory
Yep.
in one house.
Whoa.
So used to, I think at one time we
That's a lot
had
of furniture.
over 30 stages, and that was when we were like in the first couple of years we had a lot of the smaller homes. We had a lot, but now surprisingly we have maybe around 15 out at one time. But they are trending to be a little on the larger side, just where the business has kind of progressed.
So it's
Yeah.
quite a bit of business for moving companies and local suppliers and things like that. So it's like you guys are making your own little economy. It's very cool.
Well, I hope so.
Microphone. See?
I'm like,
Get back in the mic.
point. He's all like, so what do you guys think? Like, Billy, the microphone has to follow your mouth.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been cool. We've actually been around long enough to watch, the rise and fall of other
Right.
little staging companies. And when we started, we tried to network
Yeah, we did
a little
We did.
bit with the other businesses, but it was met with a lot of indifference. Which is fine. We're
Yeah.
still here.
There was
Yes.
anyone want to reach out?
Yeah.
But
We're still here.
we're the largest staging company, and I'm sure they've heard of us. They can reach out any time. We love going out to
Yeah.
have a snack,
Alaska's-
have a coffee. We'll go out.
or a cocktail too.
Well,
Do it.
we'll put you out there. Hopefully, you guys will get some awesome phone calls and whatnot off of this. Alaska's kind of like a very unique place when it comes to business. Like, people are very private,
Right.
not so collaborative,
No.
which I think is changing slowly.
Right.
You've got generations that are kind of making a difference.
Well, and the biggest thing is having these conversations, letting people know that what you do and that there's some value there, right? And just putting
Yeah.
them in touch.
Yeah.
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 We were actually saying when we started, it benefits all of us
It absolutely does.
to move staging forward in Anchorage. It will benefit us all. I don't need to know your prices, but let's talk about it and what do we want to see here. But I think what Noel had said, a lot of it was a hobby. And so it was easy for them to let it go when it kind of died a natural death.
Yeah. It's like the, agents who take the pictures with their iPhone and then agents who use like a professional photographer.
bothers me.
It does.
Can we talk about that for
Yes,
1 second?
100%. Hot topic again.
Hot topic.
Where's my button?
Hot topic. I don't really know what photos cost. I mean, Noel and I have paid for photos several times for websites and things like that. So it's expensive. But we, over the course of the last 7 years, a few times, homeowners, whether they're selling on their own, like what do you call that, FSBO?
Yeah.
Or for various other reasons, we always encourage them, please have a professional come and take these photos. Otherwise, the money that you spend on staging potentially could be in vain. And Noel's much better at spotting the iPhone photos than I am. My eye is not for that. But it's not putting your staging dollars to good use if you're not maximizing it with a professional.
It's pretty readily apparent. Right. Like, yeah, you're like, okay, that one's obvious. And they have, like just the layout of the room, the fact they don't have half of a door frame in the picture, the lighting's good.
Every picture is taken from here, like right at your abdomen level.
Yes.
Well, you figure those are deliverables too for your client. So from like the realtor's perspective, when I tell a client, like, no, I'm going to take care of it. We're going to get it sold. We're going to do this. And then I do that, and you stage, and you do open houses, and you have all that stuff together, and you put forward a really high-quality product, that person's much more likely to have a good experience, and they're also much more likely to tell someone else about it. And really, that's the business that I'm looking for.
Well, how many thousands of people are going to see your listing online and associate terrible quality with your name and reputation?
I want something that looks really nice with my face going, right next to it on the.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
And I'm going to also throw out, not every photographer is the same. And
Correct.
I would encourage realtors to maybe challenge their photographers to really get a good photo. If you have a beautiful living room, why not make it look like a magazine
Yeah.
and not just work from corner to corner?
Right.
And also one pet peeve I have is when I see half of the picture is the ceiling, and I've seen it from professionals. I'm like, please, let's challenge ourselves to do a little bit better and get the beautiful shot. Yes, it may not be at the corner of the room and it doesn't show the expanse of the room, but if we can get that beautiful magazine photo on the front, why not?
It draws them in.
It draws
to
them
click
in.
in it. They somebody's got to click on it, Like you're going after the click, and then they'll at least take a look at what's available, right? I actually, someone sent me this VRBO listing. The first 16 pictures had nothing to do with the actual property. It was like
Red flag.
It was like just pictures of trees and like the area and the parks, and I'm like,
Because that's what makes it.
I was like, what the hell? Like, picture 17 is when they started on the interior of the house. I was like, okay.
Well, we've all seen listings for houses
Yeah.
for sale like that here.
Yeah, I'm like, this looks terrible. Like, my piece of advice is fire whoever you're using.
Yeah, you just want to see that. I feel like when you're prepping a home for sale, I'm not a real estate agent. I've never been one, but I play one on TV.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn once.
Yeah. I think to drop the ball, because like Noel and I always say, when people say, okay, well, when will you come in? We want to come in after the cleaners, before photos. And very often we will high five the photographer on our way out, because especially in the summer, we can stage and we're done at 2:00 in the afternoon, let's say. The photos can be taken at 3, and potentially the listing is live the next afternoon or 2
Right.
days later.
Yep.
And the staging is working for you for all of the 60 days.
Right.
So that's when we come in. We're the very last thing right before photos.
Yeah, I'm sure the photographer probably is high-fiving you too, because
makes
at
their
least
job a lot
our
easier.
photographer is
Yeah.
very like, oh, thank God. Like he'll help me move stuff, because I'll go in and I'll be like,
yeah.
okay, we're gonna just a heads up, like we're
You
gonna
told
put
me
stuff
that everyone
away.
does it. I didn't know.
I thought that was normal.
We're
He's
moving
like,
things, and
you're one of the only ladies that actually shows up to the photography session. I was like,
really?
it's
How else are they
it's a
doing it?
product. Like, why would I not do
Yeah.
that?
You just can't move any of our stuff.
Right. That's in
Well,
the contract.
You can't put our pillows on at an
Oh, yeah.
angle. You can't.
These
you
are
can't
homeowners
move the
things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to move them out of the way.
Yeah, sometimes it's cleaning windows.
Sometimes the
What I
photographers.
do staging, it's more shuffling.
You can call it staging.
You know?
It's an S word. Like moving people's shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys have a contract, 60 days.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can extend beyond that, month to month.
Okay, that was gonna be another
yeah.
question of mine.
We're seeing more extensions just the last month or two,
Yep.
which we have not had the need for extensions in probably 18 months.
And I can
Yeah.
Starting to
see
slow
that
down.
influencing your volume too, because if everything's one place, you can't exactly take new ones.
Right.
Yeah. If it's in a home, we can't touch it. So
Something to think about, I guess. Yeah, I could see that trend continuing, likely.
In the higher price point homes for
For
sure.
sure, right?
We're starting to see some price reductions up top.
Up
and
top, yeah.
Just, those tend to sit on market 8%, at $1 million is hefty,
It's a lot of
Yes.
debt
versus 5%. I'm like, that's a substantial difference in payment,
Yeah.
on just interest. So it makes it not as affordable. So,
Sometimes we would talk about that too, to people about staging, like, what is the mortgage on this home?
right.
If you have to carry it 1 month,
One extra month. Yeah.
you might be in over that potentially costs more than this 2 months worth of staging.
yeah.
So it's, I think, important to
that's a-
get it, to put your best foot forward with
Yeah.
your listing.
Have you looked at that, like statistics of homes that are staged that, as opposed to ones that aren't? And I'd be willing to bet that they sell faster.
they do.
They
and
do.
I think that the NAR puts out usually some staging statistics every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
can't
Like
remember the
it was a
numbers, but I
substantial
doubt
amount. It was over 10%.
It was over 10%. And they sell higher statistics.
Mm-hmm.
So really, like, it's a little money up front to have a better reward on.
On the backside.
Mm-hmm.
And I maybe it goes back to a little bit of just being well prepared.
Yeah.
And having a good team behind you. And I think it starts with the realtor, and then they can say, oh, this house needs to be staged. They call us. And it's just being prepared, putting your best foot forward. it's worth it. It's worth every penny, and it shows when people walk in the door.
Yeah.
Here's a little bunny trail for you. And I mean, you guys can agree or disagree. But a lot of times, Noel and I will go into a house that's vacant, and immediately you can tell if there was a lot of unhappiness in the home.
It's
or
weird.
They're starting to move things out, you know, and it's just weird boxes in the corner or the recliner. And you'll feel that, like, something is not happy here. And then the the realtor will say, oh, well, there's an acrimonious divorce.
Right.
And even just a little bit of staging just lifts the mood
Right.
in a home, kind of along the lines of what Noel was saying. You can tell when somebody didn't care about their house.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can do a lot to alleviate that kind of, I don't even believe in the energy, but you can just, that mood of a house, we can really brighten it with just a little bit of staging. A little bit of staging goes a long way, potentially.
The cosmetic stuff really does make a massive difference in a home.
Yes.
So, and it's, yeah. So, I mean, I 100% find value in what you guys do. So it's, because I've seen it, and I've seen the opposite of it. And then also the disappointment from clients. Like we talked about the virtual station. Bad word.
Well, it's interesting to hear it from you that clients are disappointed when they walk in, because we're not privy to that information ever. Our work is done at the front, and then we take our stuff and we're gone.
Yeah. Verbatim, it was, I really wanted to love this house.
Oof. Right.
And I'm like,
That one gets you.
yeah. You know, you could tell they were really disappointed. They loved it online. Justin, I'm like, oh, we want to write an offer. You know, I'm like, let's go see it first, because the feel online versus how like you walk through the home is going to be way different, right? And they're like, yeah, you're right. Like, and it had virtual photos and all that.
that's hard.
And they were like really disappointed by that. So, well, talked a lot about staging. Business. You guys came from military sides, right?
Yes.
And so started a business.
Started a business.
I'm sure there were some learning curves to this.
Yes. The learning curves.
A solid contract.
Oh gosh.
That is
Yes.
important. Yep.
A solid contract.
And willing to enforce it.
and willing to
She's a better enforcer.
willing to enforce it. A lot of the items that we have on our contract, unfortunately, are a result of something bad happening, or at least
Usually how it
something
works.
from our network. People have said, hey, you need to have this in your contract because this
Right.
has happened.
Yeah.
One thing that this has just happened recently, and one thing that I have a hard time with, because when I was selling real estate, I knew once you had the keys, the house is your house, and everything in it. If they left trash in the house, it's something you have to deal with. So
Right.
everything in the house is yours, and you own it that day. And if the light bulb goes out, that's your light bulb. You got to change it. It's your home that day. And I love how people want to think that everybody is good and it's all going to work out. But there's been a couple of realtors that will ask, we're just going to go ahead and close, and you can pull your furniture out after closing. The buyers won't mind. We're not in contract with the buyer.
Right.
We're not in contract with the buyer's realtor. No, we are in contract with the realtor or the homeowner. And that is just one of the things that just makes me nervous to think that, oh my gosh, they could lock us out and tell us, take a hike.
And there's
in the home.
nothing we
There's
could do.
nothing. So maybe if it's anything to put out there is like, we have a contract for a reason. Please try to work with us. Don't forget us. We get forgotten. We get forgotten from people in your industry. We get forgotten by homeowners. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You forget. I actually want a line item on the title company's checklist, that they give you in folders. Remember,
Yeah.
they used to do that.
Yep.
I want to call them, can you just add, call the stagers twice on there in the beginning and then the end before you close, because talk about having to scramble with, we're closing tomorrow. Oh, it's a house full of furniture.
On
that
the
we
hillside with a foot of snow in the driveway.
Talk
If you
about,
could get
Or
yourself up
3
by
feet.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Actually.
yeah, can you pick this up tomorrow? We really want to close.
We still have some that say that. Hey, did I tell you this is recording? We're like, no. And we
Yes, just
can't
now.
do anything. We do have a nuclear clause in our contract, a nuclear clause in our contract that will cover most of calling in the professional movers to come get a house empty.
And it's in there for a reason. We've been forgotten. We've been out of town. We're like, we have to have this moved out. And okay, sure, we'll have Superman or any other wonderful mover around town. We'll call them up, and unfortunately, we'll have to pass that on to whoever we're in contract with.
Yeah.
But those are difficult. But yeah, the contract is we have to have it. Challenges, I don't know, just the working with different personalities. That's always a thing. Just
Real
working
estate is so emotional, right?
Is, yeah.
And sometimes I think the staging is the one thing a homeowner thinks that they can control, right? So price is sort of out of their control. The market conditions are out of their control. And so sometimes I think we take a lot of heat. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does,
Right.
it sticks in your head. Take a lot of heat because it's the one thing that they can really grab onto and try to micromanage.
How about like inventory? I mean, it sounds like you guys have a ton of inventory. So how do you track like all of that? Is that
Next
like
question.
or actually, if you could see what I'm doing right now, it's in April's brain.
Edit
She
that
can
part out.
remember. She can remember where every couch is. We used to we had a small system of tracking everything, but it I don't know. After a while, we're like, no, we have kind of a streamlined process for what we put into a home. And for every detail, well, actually, also we have the photography too. To like, hey, look at that, and I take a few pictures before we leave.
Right.
But yeah, the inventory, we kind of keep track between April's brain and my photos. We can remember where everything is, and also we walk into our connexes and our storage rooms, and we can see what we have left. So that's
Right.
kind of easy to say. Okay, we have these 4 couches, and this home is a little bit mid-century mod. Let's see what we can do with this kind of look.
It's like air tags on the couch.
Ooh, that's smart.
Seriously. Like we put them in our suitcases.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, because after you guys were talking about like, you could have up to 25 homes staged at one time. I'm
That's what I
like,
was like, oh my
how do
gosh.
you manage that much
Yeah.
inventory?
That's why I mentioned the logistics, is I'm trying to imagine that in my head, and I'm like, this seems like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We have come up with systems for a stage that work very well for us.
Sure.
And it's pretty streamlined, as streamlined as we could make it.
And also in the lower 48, there are huge staging companies where there are multiple stagers independently coming in and taking this couch and that big of an operation. Yes, you have to have a little
Right.
bit more of a process to keep
Right.
track of everything. No, we're the ones, along with our other
Right.
lead stager. We know where everything is because we put it in
put
there.
it in
With
there.
our hands.
With our
Right.
hands, we've
Right.
touched it.
Makes sense,
We
yeah.
put it in there.
Yeah,
So our business is on the smaller side. Even if we are the largest staging business in Alaska, we are it's smaller compared to some of
Right.
the lower 48, which presents challenges. Because if we were bigger, we could have our own truck. We could have a dedicated moving crew. But unfortunately, our little island that we're on, which we kind of feel like sometimes we are on an island, it presents
Yep.
challenges. So,
Well,
that's-
it depends on what map you look at. We are kind of next to
always an
Hawaii.
island. Yes, we
And
are.
the same size.
Yeah. So weird why we're not tropical.
Right?
We had to remind ourselves that a lot in the beginning when we were getting started because we were looking at lower 48 staging companies, primarily West Coast, right?
Yeah.
So they're servicing areas like Phoenix, I'm from Arizona, or Los Angeles, or Portland, or Seattle. And our state, are we to 700,000 in the state?
We might have
Yeah, I think
dropped.
we're just thinking,
Just
So
under
we're-
7?
well, estimate of 700.
Okay. And then Anchorage proper is what?
300?
300-ish.
Yeah.
And then we do go to the valley, and we've been to Girdwood, but we don't go down to the Kenai or anything like that.
Right.
So we're talking about just potentially
Most of the
a
state.
couple 100,000 people. Whereas, how many people live in Seattle?
Yeah. I mean, it's their
Their
talking
metro
yeah.
area.
I think there's 700 or 800 in Portland area now.
Right.
So,
But
it's,
millions in the metro
million
area.
plus, yeah.
So those staging companies just are servicing in their neighborhood
Right.
what we have in Anchorage available to us. So we constantly were having to adjust our expectations for our business, and we were never going to make $1 million a year here, whereas lower 48 staging companies do $1 million in volume. We just don't have that
Right.
audience.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's
Yeah.
lots of good about not having millions of people in your city.
There are.
And maybe
There's-
that can go back to having the knowledge that we are not a huge moving machine. We are very small. And I can acknowledge other areas of Alaska that there's a smaller company. I'm willing to give you grace. I'm willing to work with you. I'm going to do my best to give you
Yeah.
notice because it's the two of us on the other end of the phone. There's
Right.
not 5 people answering phones. There's
Right.
not
Or a
you
phone
know,
tree.
3 moving
No
trucks
phone
that can
tree.
go
Yeah.
out every day. So I will give the grace where I can, and hopefully that it will be given back to us with our small business.
a good
But
approach.
I think
Yeah.
what we're doing is, I am so proud of our product, and well, April's very good eye. I am so grateful that we've had her beautiful eye along the way, and our product is hey, you can
Giving us a wink over here, like,
Check it
oh, shit, this is the
out.
one. This is it, right?
This
You see
is the
one?
good eye. This is not the good eye. This is the glass eye.
You couldn't tell.
It's rolling around over. You
Yeah.
can't tell, right? I know. Thanks. We always say we're not ogres, you know. And Anchorage is such a small town.
Yes,
about
very much so.
I knew that, and then I really know that now.
We've
Alaska in general.
Yeah. We see and meet a lot of people, and then they'll come around, and we'll see them again. We'll even stage the same home. We've staged it before. We've staged quite a few homes.
Yeah.
Repeat. So we keep that in our mind. We try to do right by everyone that we come across, and hope they do the same to us. But if not, we have our contract.
Yes.
And a lawyer.
And lesson learned. Yeah. Okay. So we're getting kind of close to the end here. So we always kind of ask as people come on the show, especially if they own a business, just if you were, let's say you're mentoring someone who's just kind of getting into the entrepreneur business world. If you can think of 5 things that you could just give them as tips as they're starting their journey, what do you think those would be?
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
Know your audience and your
Yep.
competition.
Know your competition. Yep. Understand your product.
Yeah.
Because we decided that early on. Like, what do we want to provide
Right.
for people? What do we want our look?
What is it that we're trying to do?
Yeah.
So kind of honing it in a little bit.
We wanted to really dial down what is it that you can expect from About Face. We saw that other staging companies, for example, would take 2 and 3 days to load a house and unload a house. And we decided we could do better. We wanted to do that in a day. And now it's down to just a few hours
Nice.
to get in and out of a
Yeah.
house. Now there's still work on the other side of that they don't see. But for you, when we're in your property, we are going to be in and out in a couple of hours. And we're not going to hopefully have to come back and change anything or add or take away. We will, but so I think know your product.
And be willing to get help and to seek out the professionals that you need, a lawyer or a good accountant.
Dream team is what I call that.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
establish
Have a
your
dream team.
Or your tribe.
Or your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for Alaska especially, we already said this, but it's a small town. So just be careful with what you do and be respectful and what else?
I think we're probably over 5, but I always tell people consider a business partner. Someone that will share the mental load.
Yep.
Or if you're sick, and COVID was weird,
Yeah.
right? Kids were not in school, and it was just I don't think either one of us could have kept this business afloat without the other person.
Yeah. It's funny because, typically when we get people on the show, we'll ask these 5 things, right? There's always somewhat similar answers because, some of the lessons learned are very similar, right? Most entrepreneurs are just business owners. You start out and you have to kind of wear all the hats, and then you slowly start to learn, it's kind of hard to grow when you're wearing all the hats because you're having to do all the things.
And you might
Right.
not like that hat.
Yeah. Counting or with some other things, like I suck at those hats, right? So I try to shed those off, right? So finding your team or tribe, right? Alaska's small, reputation-based kind of stuff.
Reputation.
You know, we've had conversations like, you know, honing in your services or your products. Some people just go so broad and big that they're just trying to eat the whole elephant in one bite.
So they're not really good at any one
And
thing.
they're not really figuring out what they're really,
That's great advice.
Yeah.
like their market, right?
Yes.
And what the market needs. They're just kind of like, I'm just going to offer everything and see what catches.
No,
you know?
just do one thing really good.
Yeah.
Right, right. We did that actually. We started just jettisoning off the jobs that we didn't want, that took too much time for not enough pay
Yeah.
Also, we started very small.
from
And-
scratch. One
Yeah,
house.
one house
Yeah.
at a time, buying as we were going. And I am so glad it was that, and we just didn't step into buying, you know, $50,000 worth of inventory, not ever having done the job before. Starting small. It's okay to start small. Yeah.
And we did. And I was just thinking, we were able to develop then this other weird revenue stream where we're now starting to rent out very small seating areas to different events in town. So we
Oh,
Are
yeah,
we-
that's one of our other
are we
big
allowed
things.
to say one of the telecommunications companies in town
It's up to
uses
you.
us
All the time.
all
we
the
love it.
time to do a power lounge at these big
Oh, that's cool.
conventions like over
Yeah.
at Denina.
They're great to work with. GCI.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
GCI.
GCI.
Yeah,
we
I'm like,
we,
we don't got no
we,
beef.
we go in. We do the power lounge for them. So we call it, you know, corporate event staging.
Yeah.
That's it.
So for a few days.
And we've done 2 events in the last week at Willowa for different organizations where we just go in and set up a little area. But it's been an interesting way for us to put our inventory to use. And it's really nice at this time of year when we tend to have a lot of inventory
That makes
Kind
sense.
of more
available.
available.
Well, it's interesting
Interesting.
because this is event season, right? So that would kind
Yes.
of
Yeah. It's
That's
gone
good. I
season.
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun because we started small and we can start considering things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mayor's Charity Ball's this weekend.
Yeah.
The what?
Mayor's Charity Ball.
Oh, the
Oh,
charity
yeah.
ball. No, we don't have anything there.
No.
That's a good one to go to, though.
I've never been.
No, me either.
Really?
Got extra tickets?
I think there's still tickets available.
Seriously.
Yeah. I got to check that the chamber group chat.
Right.
Are you guys involved in the chamber?
No, and we keep saying we should, or
You
we've
should.
reached out.
Definitely.
Yes. We'll get you involved. It's a great,
Okay.
it's a
Oh,
great
cool.
group of people.
Okay.
Okay. So we got our 5 things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How about last, besides the chamber, Mayor's Charity Ball stuff? We'll talk about that after. But so, A, how can people find you?
Easy. Our website, aboutfacestaging.com.
Okay.
And Facebook and Instagram, we have
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. And then one last quick plug from you guys.
I'll do it. We are the largest staging company in the Anchorage area. We offer staging along the continuum from an occupied consult, which we aren't going to bring you anything, all the way to filling your house, your 9,000 square foot house. That's what we're emptying today.
Yeah.
Almost every room furnished. We can do
That's
it. We will make it happen. And we're going to give you a faster, more high quality product than any of our competitors.
Sell your
That's
house.
awesome.
Amen.
That's a great plug. Boom. Mic drop. That's the end of the show. I can't do any better than that. So thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Hopefully you guys
having
had
us.
some
We
fun.
appreciate it.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.